Hello, good evening, and welcome to Talkin Kop of a Wednesday night. Tonight we're going to be discussing all the stuff that's going on in the Premier League at the moment. It could be from last weekend, it could be right now, and it could be the weekend coming. I don't know how it's going to go, but we'll do our best over the next hour. I'm Gav, and with me this week I have got Keith Plunkett of Dublin 4. Massive rugby fan. An aficionado of rugby is what he called us last week.
Yeah.
He's a fucking spoofer.
He's a rugby man.
Davo, the man that goes to bed at 11 o'clock every night, so we're not finished at 11 o'clock, he just gets up and walks off. And a big welcome back to Dunner, all the way from Sligo. Dunner hasn't been on in a while, but I got him back. It cost us a fortune, but we've got him back.
Yeah.
And
money well spent.
money well spent. We had to take all the money. Well, we had to take all the money out of Keith's post office account to get him back, but we have.
Yeah, my hair transplant account, it's been fleeced.
Yeah, it was never happening for you. Look, he must have took and got hair for himself. He's more hair than all of us.
Anyway, had a hair, doesn't he, Gunnar?
Yeah, he does. Listen, I want to start the show. We mentioned it last night. Myself and Bertie were on having a random chat where I was genuinely trying to plan a holiday to America in an RV for 6 months and realised it's going to cost a hell of a lot of money. But that's how random it got last night. But before we get into all the Premier League stuff, there's been two passings this week of big names in English football and indeed world football, with the passing of Bill Kenwright, the Everton chairman, and of course probably the biggest legend of them all at Manchester United, and Bobby Charlton. Both passed away this week. Both will be sadly missed by everyone at Manchester United, everyone at Everton and further afield. So from all of us at Talkin Kop, our condolences to Bobby Charlton's family, to Bill Kenwright's family, and everyone at Everton and everyone at Manchester United. I just wanted to say that in case anyone didn't see it last night, and people, think we aren't addressing this because we're Liverpool fans and it's happening at Everton and it's happening at Manchester United. Absolutely not. We did do it last night, but we were only on Twitch last night, so I thought YouTube was kind of where we are all the time, and I wanted to do that. So again, from everyone here, condolences to everyone involved are linked with Bill Kenwright and Bobby Charlton. The Premier League this week had some good mad results at the weekend, loads of sending offs, loads of talking points. We've talked the Merseyside Derby to death. So I want to talk about the bottom. I want to start with the bottom. And Davo, I'm going to come to you first because me and you have this thing every year about me saying Everton will go down this year. And you go, no, there's three of them that are absolutely brutal below them.
No, what I do, I say this, don't do it yourself, Gav. They're going to be shy all year and stay up.
Yeah, and I do it to myself on a regular basis, right? But I always find there's one team that are melouding. 3 or 4 teams that you go, they'll fight it out over the last 2 spots. And then there'll be one team that you think will get dragged in, but absolutely don't. But Davo, I have to say, the bottom of this league looks abysmal. And like genuinely, when you say, oh, there might be one that's abysmal and go down, I think you could pick 3 to go down and go, there's no way they're getting out. It's really, really poor, Davo. It's really, really poor down there.
Yeah, and look at you obviously would have expected, I think, to be honest with you, well, listen, there's probably fellas that know a lot more about what they made and would say, no, we saw it coming. I didn't really see Burnley kind of really being as poor as they are, considering that they absolutely knocked the arse out of the rest of the championship last year and won it at a canter. Now, they obviously want to have their style of play and they're not willing to change. And that's why I think they actually could be in bother, as in, I watched the out earlier just with Gary Neville and Craig Bellamy, and Neville asked him about Burnley changing style and he said absolutely not, no chance. He just said we need to get better without the ball, too many spaces, etc. But better teams are going to drag you around the place, pick you off. So I actually think out of the 3 of them, they come up Luton probably have the best chance of staying up because they just get the ball down and launch it. They fucking launch it. If they've enough good days in front of the goal, they could eke out a few wins. But yeah, listen, that's without bringing in the likes of Everton and a couple of others down there that are really, really poor. But listen, you could throw a dart to that bottom 6, Gaff, and Everton won't go, but you could throw a dart to the other 5, and I tell you,
just looking at the bottom 6, right? Sheffield United 1 point, right? They've all played 9. Sheffield United 1 point, Bournemouth 3 points, which is 3 draws. haven't won a game. Burnley have won 1 and drawn 1, have 4 points. Luton have won 1 and drawn 2, have 5 points. Everton have won 2 and drew 1, 7 points. And then you're going to Forest in 15th, 1, 2, drew 4, 10 points. Right? Now, people could argue, look, Everton win will push them up towards Brentford and stuff like that. But Dunner, like when you look down there, you usually have a team. Like there's always one team where you go, they're 10 games in and they've 2 points, and you're going, they're never getting you. Right? So that's
Sheffield
probably
United.
Yeah, that's your Sheffield United Dunner, right? And then you go to yourself, there's 3 or 4 that might, be fighting to avoid these last 2 places. But when I look at this, genuinely, I wouldn't even include Forest in this. From Everton down, Dunner, it's, in my opinion, it's 3 from 5. I can't see anybody dropping in below how bad them 5 are. Can you?
I'd stick Forest in that though, Gav. Watching them there against Luton the other day, they were an absolute disgrace. Defensively, they're absolutely horrific. So they're going to concede goals like there's no tomorrow, and that's the benefit of playing them at the weekend as well. But like everyone down there, they're rank. There's no even reason why Everton should be there. They're far better than what's down there, and Everton are awful. They shouldn't be fair and even going down, because like you look at Sheffield United the other day against United, like they're terrible. United were that bad that they nearly made Sheffield United look good. And like I personally can't see any of them taking points off many teams going forward in the season. I couldn't tell you which 3 are going down, but that bottom 6. Everton will stay up. Actually, I think Everton will stay up, but for any of the rest of them, I think will go down quite easily.
Like you look at it, right? Everton's won 2 games away at Brentford, who's sitting 14th, and at home to Burnley, home to Bournemouth, who's sitting 19th place. Right? Luton have won 1 game, which is away to Everton. Like they're not taking points off anybody else. They're just taking points off each other. You know what I mean? And that's the key. That's where I'm coming from with this. Where where you kind of say, oh, there's a team up there in say 11th, but they drop like a stone. Brentford done it a couple of seasons ago. Do you remember they were flying, dropped like a stone? People were like, oh, geez, could they go down? But they didn't in the end. Like, but that's why I'm looking at it, Keith. Like, nobody's taking out of these 5. None of them are taking points off teams outside of that 5, really. They might get the odd draw here, but they're not winning. Like, we're a quarter of the season in here. And between the bottom 5 teams, there's been 4 wins, right? As I said, Everton have beaten 14th and 19th. Luton have beaten 16th, okay? And Burnley, I don't even know who the win Burnley's winning is.
Burnley beat Luton.
Burnley beat Luton. So there you go. So Keith, it just feels like, when you're going on about mini leagues and for top 4, mini leagues for top 6, there's a couple in the middle that just plod along, and then the bottom 7. But this feels already like bottom 5. Take 3 out of it, because I'm looking around saying to myself, Brentford are saying to themselves, if we just continue on as we are, we get 40 points, and none of these are getting close to us with that.
Yeah, Brentford, I think they could be the one that get dragged into it, but the lads and what you've said is right. The quality down there. Sheffield United, I was looking at their results there, and I'm like, Jesus, they're not getting battered there. 2-1, 2-1, 2-1, 8-0, 2-1. Whoa, 8-0. I forgot about that one. And I'm like, what's going on here? And they have that in them. They're not a great side. Very unlucky against Spurs. If that's a game there that I know ifs, buts and maybes, but if they got that now, that's a good momentum thing. But obviously they don't, and that puts them down. I don't know how many big performances Sheffield United have in them. That seemed to be it. Do you know what I mean? Like, that seemed to be the one where they were in with a chance of getting it. And I know Davo will say they'll have 2 against us, but it's just they look poor. They really do look like they're going to struggle, and I can't see where they're going to get their points from. I was looking at them again against Manchester United, and the quality, and this goes for a lot of the teams down there. Like, some of these teams, it's like fucking Pro Evo looking at them. I don't know who half of these players are, and especially Luton. And I know Luton have players that have come up through the lower leagues and the League 2, League 1 and all that, but the standard just isn't there. Burnley are the ones that you look and say, yeah, they play the attractive football, but as you have said, that's what's going to be the bleeding death knell for them. But the Sean Dyche football that they had for so long was too rigid, and they never moved away from it, and they want I'd say they're happy enough to get slaughtered this season, but play good football, go down and see if they can come up again. But is company going to be there for the long term, or is he just using that as a stepping board? But then,
What sort
sure
of
he
stepping
wants
board
to,
is
I'm
it?
sure
If
he'd
he's
like a
going
few
out,
wins for the
yeah.
CV.
Even with Luton, lads, like they've set up to be relegated. They've gone
Yeah.
the smart way about it. They've signed decent championship players and signed them on decent long-term things that they, when they do go down, that they're set up to automatically come back up. They're happy enough, I think, to yo-yo for the next 2 or 3
Sheffield
years.
United are the same.
Maybe establish themselves. But Gav, you see the thing with Sheffield United though, Sheffield United are about to hit the panic button already. They're already on about a point with Chris Wilder, getting rid of Heckingbottom and bringing back Wilder. Like that's panic buttons. You know what I mean? You've already
But what I mean by you, like I know what you're saying with Luton. They've bought players where you go really good championship, top end championship players.
Yeah.
Probably not can do it. But if you look at Sheffield United, like I couldn't tell you who Sheffield United signed in the summer. Like I can't tell you one player where they go, oh, they've signed him. Look, maybe they're looking to stay in the league.
No, they're struggling financially. They didn't sign too many at all, and they lost their.
They sold Erla, didn't they? Sander Berg to
they sold Berg to and then
Burnley,
they sold.
Didn't they?
Yeah, I think he's with Burnley, and then they sold that fella Undioy. He went to Marseille. He was that kind of main fella really for them, and they haven't really invested any money either. So they've kind of gone the Luton route, probably a little bit quieter about doing it, but they're probably the same really. They're going the Luton route as well. They know they're not staying up.
Yeah,
they're big strikers. Before we do move off them, like they brought in your man Cameron Archer from Villa on loan as their attacking player, and that tells you an awful lot what you need to know about them. And they bought your man there, the fella we had, Yasser Larouchi. He's playing for them, and he's been a bit of a journeyman since he started to break through at us. So yeah, I'm looking at their squad there, and Jesus, there's nothing really in it.
But I think the outlook for both, like if you take Luton and Sheffield United to me look like someone that's come up and went, this is a great money boost for us. Yeah. Let's not go over the top of what we are outlay. And when we go back to the Championship, we're actually going to go back in a much, much healthier financial position to put the club on a footing where we can try push for this again. Luton have had to do stuff to their ground because it's tiny. But they've signed some players where you go, you know what? Yeah, maybe they know they're going back down, but they feel like a bit of a better level and more potential in them than Sheffield United. Like Benny, the Irish lad, he's a real spark for them. Do you know the sort of way? The other striker they have was brilliant in the championship for last season. And now and you're kind of looking going, if they went to the Championship, they could come back up. When they come back up, these players have they've an exciting future ahead of them, these sort of players. Plus, they've had a Premier League year behind them, which might stand to them. So, just on the style of play, and I'm not going to put you on not going to put you on the spot and say who stays up and who doesn't. But when you look at the style of play that these teams have, which one do you think suits best in an attempt to stay up? Because you have to remember, Sheffield United, Burnley, Bournemouth, Luton, Everton, right? Only 3 can go, right? Only 3 can go. So which style? Because it probably will come down to style and sticking to your guns, and like Dunner says, bringing in Wilder back and stuff like that might be a bit madness. So, Davo, which style keeps you up? Is it a Luton style? Stick to what you know.
Listen, I think it's Luton just because style-wise for them. I think that they're fairly direct. That lad Adebayo, isn't it, up front? He's a big lad up front. He's got a couple of goals already. He missed an open goal against Spurs. Gets himself in and amongst it. Like if he clicks, or if he has a half decent season where he gets 10, 12 goals, they've obviously got Ross Barkley and Andron Townsend that are a little bit of star dust that they want to sprinkle on it now and again. But I just think it's them because they're used to playing that style. Like Burnley are obviously used to playing the style that they're playing, but when you're up in the Premier League against the big boys and you want to play that free-flowing football out from the back, you get traps get set, teams drag you around the place, big gaps everywhere, and they're struggling. Burnley, like they don't really have a goal scorer, and they're struggling. Whereas I just think with Luton, you're not going to give away too many mistakes playing out from the back when you're launching the 60 yards up to a big man and trying to play off the second balls and the bits that drop down. So look, at Sheffield United are gone. They're gone. I think I would probably back Luton over Burnley if I had to be honest with you. just purely for the style that might end up looking thick now at the end of the season. But yeah, I probably would. I like they are going to struggle to find wins, but so are Burnley. And listen, it could be a very real possibility that the three that come up go straight back down. I don't think that's happened for a while, has it?
No, but I think it's a huge possibility. Keith, the one in here that kind of doesn't get mentioned is Bournemouth. Yeah. And, they've been in the league a couple of years now, haven't they? Is that third season back? Second season back? I don't know.
I think.
Second?
Yeah. Parker got promoted, didn't he?
Yeah. So they stayed up last year. This is their second season. But Keith, when you look at the squad they have and the players they have and the experience they have in the Premier League within that squad, it feels a bit like Bournemouth used to do this under Eddie Howe all the time. Wouldn't win for 6, win 4 of the next 6, wouldn't win for 6, win 4 of the next 6, and just stay up. But they don't seem to. It feels to me like the unrest there with O'Neill wasn't it Parker was there? Was O'Neill there? They got rid of him.
And they sacked him.
And I'm doing really well here remembering these names because it's like a revolving door.
I'm waiting for you to say the current fella's name.
He's like Arteta's little brother. He's big Lego. He's a Lego head in him. Like Arteta. But it feels to me like that's going a bit stale, Keith. Are they in big trouble? Are they the sort that they'll kind of get a kick up the arse at some stage and pull themselves out of it?
I think they have more quality there than some of the others around them. But I agree. I don't know if Iriola's taking too long to adjust to his methods, and it might be a case of as soon as they fuck him out and get Neil Warnock or something in there, they'll start getting points. Because I'm looking at their squad there, and right, I know Dominic Solanke is their sort of main centre forward and Kiefer Moore. They're not prolific, but they do have a lot of wide players there. Justin Kluivert is there. Sinisterra, that was at Leeds. Your man Django Ouattara tore us apart. Tyler Adams. Like they've got players in there that can do damage. Ryan Christie, David Brooks, Alex Scott. They've decent players. It's just not working for them at the moment. And I think, and I could be wrong, but I do think it's down maybe a bit to the coach and whatever methods they're always trying to bring in. I think they might be struggling with that. So I think for Bournemouth, it might be a case of a couple more defeats. And if they get hopped off, I think he's out the gone. Yeah, he's out the gap at that stage.
I think he's on eggshells at the minute as well. I think I heard there yesterday or the day before. I think they're conceding over 20 shots a game. Your man was basically saying, "Look, you're fucking if you're conceding 20 shots a game, like the goalkeeper Neto's experience. He's been at Barcelona and all that, but he's garbage, and he's like."
I think he's captain, is he? He might be captain.
He is captain, he is captain,
O'Sheen says the signed guys that haven't stayed fit. Adam's gone until March. Scott only made his debut the weekend. Tavernier also injured. I think they're gone as well. Dunner, if you were to pick one, are you going with the style of Luton? Know what you do, as hard as you possible to be, use the sparks in the team as best you can and see where you get to.
Yeah, I'd go along with what Davo was saying on that, Gav, because look, at the rec side in the Premier League, they'll always cause problems. So we've seen it over the years. They can pick up points here and there. And look, they, especially at home, they'll pick up draws and they'll nick little wins. It's a tight ground. Fans are in behind them. All that does play a part in it. So it does. You'll have Sky Sports backing them all the way against all the big boys, playing the fairy tale stuff, the Roy of the Rovers thing. That'll all work in their favour. The big one that I think is going to go against is Burnley, is the style of play, because if you look at it, I think it was Dav, did you just mention it before we came on that Bellamy, it says they won't change their style of play and they need to be better off the ball. If you're struggling off the ball in the Premier League, you're fucked. Forget about it. And especially at the bottom end of the table, because you can look back at us last year and we struggled off the ball at the top end of the table and look how badly we got punished for it. We couldn't get around the pitch. We couldn't move around quick enough. Our midfield was struggling. And we struggled really badly and obviously didn't get even to the top four with it. And that's what world-class players in the team. They don't have a patch on what we had. So they're going to struggle even more.
That's quite concerning, isn't it? For them to turn around after 10 games and say we need to be better off the ball. Because, look, I'm no manager, right? But if I have a team and I'm going into the Premier League and going, right, what's the first thing that makes you hard to beat? Being really fucking good off the ball. You're not going to have a lot of it. Be well drilled, know your position, know when to pass on a player, know where the line is, all this sort of stuff. And 10 games in, they're saying we just need to get better off the ball. That's very worrying, Dunner.
Well, it's frightening. So it is. Honestly, it's scary. And for even to come out and say that publicly is fucking, it's madness, to be honest with you. But like that's if that is where you're at already, I'm afraid it's game over because it's very hard to correct that mid-season. Like that's a pre-season job, is you're set up and know exactly where you're going to be. That's like Luton will have that. Edwards will have Luton like that, and he's a very astute coach. In fairness to him, and that's the way he's got them set up nice and tight, and they're hard to play against. They're hard to break down. Burnley still think they're dancing through the championship here, and they're playing with the big boys. And I'm afraid Company, he's just trying to play to Daddy Pep and play his style of football, try and impress all that. Yeah, it looks great sometimes, but look, your bread and butter is getting points on the board, and he's not doing it, and it's clear as day white.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think that they talk about these mini leagues. I think it will come down to the results against each other down there, because unless someone steps up and grabs a couple of wins outside of these playing these 4/5 other teams, it's going to genuinely just come down to a mini league between them, and that's why I think the points level might be very low this season. Jumping back up towards the top of the division though, we've seen Spurs win again Monday night. Liverpool won. You had Arsenal and Chelsea drawn. Arsenal coming back from 2 down. City won, but I thought they were going to smash Brighton and ended up at 2-1. And we're a bit fortunate apparently towards the end of that game. So I wanted to just talk not so much on the individual results, but like I said, we're quarter of the way into the season, and everyone always says, "Oh, you don't wait till about 10 games in, you start to feel what they're like." Where do we feel all these are, Davo? I'll put it to you, and if anyone disagrees, you can take it up when I come to you. I think Liverpool have been okay with the changes that they've had to make. I don't think Arsenal look as good as they did last season. I think Spurs look really good, but I'd be worried about that depth. And that's not disparaging anything they've done. I'd be worried about if they have to call on that depth in the next probably 8 to 10 games when suspensions, injuries and stuff comes. City to me look like they're kind of caught between gears, and eventually they will kick on, the sort of way. Where do you want these teams up here? Is it still too early to judge?
I wouldn't say it's too early to judge. I think you're probably you're starting to see a little bit of, you're starting to see it take shape a little bit. I think City, I think City are a little bit off it, to be honest with you, this season, and I think it could be ripe for a team that you said 24 more wins or whatever the other day after the game. I think it could be ripe for a team that can put, like ourselves, who've proven that we can put a lot of wins together. I do think that they're just a little bit off. I think, obviously, look at the last 3 games of Vincent Rodri. He's their best player. Every time I see him, he's their best player. He's their most important player by a mile. De Bruyne is obviously probably their best player, but he's disgustingly good, Rodri. When I watched them playing, obviously he'll be a huge asset when they get back, but they're a little bit off. Like he's slotting fellas in, Rico Lewis and Kyle Walker, alternating them, and then he folds out Grealish is kind of fucking persona non grata at the minute because Doku was in, and just I don't think they look as cohesive anyway as they have. Listen, Spurs are obviously the one that have they've caught the eye. They went out of the Carabao Cup, so they've literally 1 game a week now until January. They're not in Europe. So that's all going to work in their favour. I'd agree with you about that depth, Gaff. I probably would agree with you about that depth. And I do think it's hard to be like sour grapes and stuff. I think they're getting away with it a little bit at times in games. Things are going for them.
Well, John says five of Spurs' 7 wins have come against the bottom 8 teams in the league. And we know VAR handed them a win against us, i.e. Liverpool.
Yeah.
But you can only beat what's in front of you. I think if City were really on it, right, and Arsenal were at the level they were last season, Spurs genuinely would still be around there, but I don't think anyone would be looking going, Jesus, Spurs, the sort of way. Like they've won 7 and drawn 2, I think. I don't think have they been beaten Spurs? I don't think they have.
No.
I think they've won 7 and drawn 2. One of those draws was away at Arsenal, and I'm trying to think of
They drew the first game of the season away to Brentford.
Yes, in a 2-2, I think it was, wasn't it? So, Spurs are okay. And like you said, City, for me, they just feel like they're caught in a gear. They feel a bit lethargic to me. Or nearly come across as like, we know this is easy. We'll get this done. They're nearly falling into that trap. Keith, we speak about Liverpool all day, every day, and so many shows a week. But when you look around, like, take Arsenal from me, Keith. because I'm still on this bandwagon that I don't think the players they've signed this summer have turned up enough of them. And I don't think they've done enough. Rice, Rice is a great signing for them. I don't think he's worth that money, but I think in big games, I don't think he's turned up. I know he scores against United, but in the game, I don't think he's turned up enough. I don't think he turned up enough against City either. And Havertz hasn't really done it for me. And then you have Timber who gets injured, but I keep going back to Arteta trying to be too clever. And maybe it'll work out in the end, Keith, but right now Arsenal just look like a team that I fancy Liverpool against. If they're playing tomorrow, I fancy Liverpool against them.
Yeah, I think that's it. That's the key point there. I'd be the exact same. I think Arsenal are a good team, and I think Rice is a good. I'm not a big Declan Rice fan. To be honest, I think he's good, but again, the price tag, I never feel he's worth that money. But he is an upgrade over Xhaka, over El Neni, over fucking Partey, and all these boys they had in there. So you can say, look at him and say, right, that's a need that they've addressed and they've upgraded there in that centre mid that can sit and hold. Havertz, to me, is a ridiculous signing because they paid big bucks for him as well, didn't they? What they paid for him? About 60 million?
60 million. But when they signed him, Keith, I could see the reasoning behind it, right? But
where's he going to play him?
Well, you see, the thing was, my idea with Havertz was to play. I thought he was going to drop Odegaard in beside Rice, right? And play Havertz ahead of them with Martinelli, Saka and Jesus. And the whole idea would be, I was expecting Arsenal to come into games and do what Liverpool done in 1920, which was just pin you in, don't let you fucking play, make you hit, percentage balls out of the defence, and Saliba, Gabriel will mop them up. But they've gone, and Havertz will be in there kind of linking Jesus and Martinelli or Jesus and Saka. And it made sense in my head when I seen it. But he hasn't done any of that. Like, he's crowding the midfield with Zinchenko and stuff like that, trying to be too clever.
The goalkeeper thing, and we spoke about with you on night, is again a fella. Is he trying to be too clever and talking absolute scutter? And Davo as a goalkeeper, this idea of rotating your keepers is.
Well, look, I think it's starting to come back and kind of haunt him a little bit now, because I don't think Ray has been great. He's been very jittery, ball at his feet. He's given the ball away an awful lot. I only saw bits and bobs of it last night. I had that goal show on.
I've watched the last two games in full.
Yeah, a couple of clips. Yeah, well, a couple of clips last night in the Seville game where they've passing the ball straight to Seville players and stuff like that. So that will, like, even though people are talking about kind of the Ramsdale element of it, will he go? Like, does he need to go? Blah blah blah. That will obviously sink in. What will happen there is Roy will obviously be glad that he's getting the nod at the minute, but it will also be sinking in with him going, if I make a fuck up here, he's probably going to have to put your man in due to pressure and him being an England international, etc., etc. So it's like, even though Roy seems to be number one now, in his own mind, he's probably like going, yeah, I'm number one at the minute. But if I fuck up, that could be me.
But that's Arteta trying to be too clever.
It'll remind you nearly of the time. Remember with ourselves with Karius and the two kind of number ones fighting at the same time, and each time one went in, they were nearly making a mistake. They were both on eggshells all the time.
Yeah, I just think Arsenal, and you know what? I'm not upset about it, because I feel like it's a little bit of a transition season for Liverpool with the signings in midfield. Gakpo's only 6 months in the door. Nunez feels like he's really coming on, but then you have Gravenberch in, McAllister in, Szoboszlai in. So there's a lot going on in midfield, and Liverpool could be forgiven for putting in really good performances, but looking disjointed. But they're not. They're starting to look like they're flowing.
We've had a tough start, Gav. I think we
have had a tough start, and I just think, from a Liverpool point of view, I'm looking at the league and I'm saying, right, 3 points off Spurs. More importantly for me, a point off City. I might be a point off Arsenal as well. I can't remember the league. I think we're 20, and I know Spurs are 23. The other two might be on 21 points each. Or are Arsenal on 20 with us? I'm not too sure. But I'm looking at it and I'm saying to myself, this is absolutely fine. Because if this rumbles on like this, in this manner, for another 9, 10, 11 games, then you're going, hold on, we're halfway in here and nobody's pulling up fucking trees. And my thing is, if Liverpool turn around in January, and head for home, I'm absolutely fine being a point off City and 3 off Spurs going into the first week in January, because I know Liverpool muscle memory will kick in for a lot of us, and that's why I wanted to see where you were. Dunner, I want to give you Newcastle, because they had a terrible start to the season. They didn't. They hammered Villa on the opening day, didn't they? 5-1. And then
that was the day Sandro Tonali was declared player of the season as well.
In Italy.
Hasn't really worked. No.
Oh no, he was the best player in the world,
yeah.
But he probably bet on himself to win that as well.
What were the odds?
But I think they lose 3 on the bounce down. I think that they don't have a great time. But they've picked up recently, and now they've had some games where you go, expect them to win that, and especially at home, and they go away and they hammer Sheffield United. But I've left some up there tonight because Kev says Newcastle have lost Isaac and Murphy to injury, plus Tonali ban is incoming. They don't have the depth for the long haul, and of course, a couple more Champions League group games coming. Possibly they could go into the Europa or continue on in that Champions League. So it's a different kind of challenge to Newcastle this season. But in fairness to them, them and probably Villa, you can take both of them. They're trying their best to keep pace here.
No, they are, Gav. They're 2 decent sides as well. The thing about Newcastle as well, people always go on about Isaac and that, but Callum Wilson goes about his business quietly. Yeah. He's constantly scoring goals. Really he's always thereabouts. He scores important goals as well. He's a lot of times you look at Newcastle wins, he's nearly the guy who gets the winner. So Villa, I think under Emery, are excellent. But again, as we've just touched on with so many teams, it's the squad. There's no squad depth there. You're on about your first 11s, maybe 1 or 2 substitutions that can make a difference. And both Villa and Newcastle will be in that vein for me. I think the top 4 that you see already are the top 4 for the season. I don't think anyone will touch us. Even you go back as far as Chelsea. Like Chelsea, what are 8 points off us? Like that's a huge amount at this stage even of the season.
Yeah.
To cash that back up, I genuinely think you're already looking at your top 4 and just formation of fall. Between Villa and Newcastle, they'll definitely be knocking at the door, but I don't think they'll have the squads to just pick any of us, because the top 4 there are very, very good. And look at Arsenal, City, and ourselves. We're going to be fighting it out for the league, and I think Spurs will fall away slightly. But the biggest thing for Spurs at the moment is, they've only conceded 8 goals. They're actually quietly excellent at the back. So which I'm very surprised at, because I didn't expect your man Van der Veen to come in and settle in so quickly into the Premier League. And Romero's a bomb scare for me.
Yeah, so especially playing beside Romero. Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah. So they're stuck up in partnership. But if one of them gets injured, I think they're in trouble. Or if they count on Ben Davies coming back in at left back, you see the old Spurs start to creep in there. Those unreliable players, the players that'll make big mistakes in big games.
Yeah,
they're the ones where the points will hit them hard.
Yeah, people are saying there in the chat about the Tonali ban, and there's talk now he's going to get a 10-month ban from football. O'Shane reckons the Saudi airline money will help them get Calvin Phillips in January to cover the Tonali minutes, and John O reckons Newcastle will spend in January. Remember, top 5 gets Champions League football now, and I think they will get 5th. Well, and supposedly the 5th place will get it. It's all to do with coefficient and all, and
it's a single legacy, season coefficient. It's legacy, not to do with it's how how your league performs in Europe
across all European competitions.
Across all
European so you kind of need to cheer on West Ham and Villa have a Thursday night as well, lads. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
I see Newcastle already looking at Onana as well, aren't they?
Which one? The United keeper?
Is there another Onana?
The Everton player.
Oh yeah, him.
Fairness, good player.
Yeah. Well,
they're just going to start plundering that Saudi league. You see the rumours, and I know it's all rumours and someone taking the piss, but Ruben Neves has been linked with a loan move, and it'll be a 2-year loan.
That's guaranteed.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
2-year loan.
Well, look, that's
fair play.
That's going to be something in January that we look at, and no doubt it'll be staring you in the face how mad it is, but people will just go, oh yeah, no, that's just how it is, and you're kind of going, well, it's not. But listen, all the kids love it.
It's an important few games for us. I think at the minute coming in, like I said, we had a tough start and we're in good shape.
Yeah.
And if you really are, if you're off a little bit, and you want to jump on and start pushing them close and getting on the neck.
You win your next 3 league games.
Yeah, you gotta go and win these next 3 league games. You know what I mean? And then then you can really start looking going, right, because then we come into December, we play United, we play Arsenal as well, and also. But I
City
think
must
we
be
have had
around
a
that
tough
time as
start.
well, did he?
Yeah, I
Oh
actually.
no, City are at the international break.
Yeah,
Yeah.
City
are
coming
after the
up
next 3,
after that one.
Yeah.
So look, we're going to play 3 huge games in 4 or 5 weeks. Then after these next 3 games, after already beating Everton. So yeah, look, it's fucking. I do think we really like fucking foot in the net or foot on the next stuff, get another 3 wins, and then bounce into that City game. A fucking half 12 after an international break
but you
again.
see, my whole
Right,
point on this is that if you put 12 on the board, right, Everton and the 3 coming off, you put them 12 on the board, the maximum you're going in to that City game, the maximum you're going in to that City game is a point behind them, max, right? You could be possibly ahead of them. And what happens with Liverpool and City is that one team is usually 3 points clear, and if the other team, and if you lose, you're 6, right? And it feels like it's getting away from you. And how good Liverpool and City have been, you're clawing at it, and then you start having to. Whereas I'd be listen. If you offered me Liverpool a point to clear of City going into that, not that I don't care about the result, but I'm not going to have a mental breakdown over the result if we lost it, because I'd still turn around and go, yeah, 13 games in and we're 2 points off City. I'm absolutely fine with that.
I think
and that's why I think these 3 are crucial, because we're a point off City. They play United at the weekend. Now United are abysmal, but if you win your 3 games,
United against them.
What?
They have a decent record.
Yeah, I know, but United are just people are running. Copenhagen were running 3 United last night, like it was going out of fashion. So my whole thing is win your 3, go into that City game, and the chances are you could be level or a point ahead of them, right? And if you win, great. If you draw, everything's even. If you lose, it's not the end of the world. It doesn't feel, and this season doesn't feel like games in fucking mid-November are going to decide the league title. It just doesn't feel like that at the minute. But we'll see when it comes around to it. We might do.
But if you look at Spurs, right? So sorry for cutting across, right? So Spurs have had an extremely easy start. I thank you very much. You're a very forgiving person.
You're a dear friend.
Yeah, indeed. Spurs have had a very easy start, right?
Yeah.
And as you touched on with Sheffield United, they were poxed to get over the line in that game. They were poxed to beat us. 9 men. They were absolutely deplorable at home. Even against 10, I thought they were shy. I thought they were sharp until Jota gets sent off, and even then I didn't think they'd done that. So they've been very lucky. But if you look at their fixtures, I think they played 8 of the bottom 10 or something like that in their games. Like, they've been absolutely cack. But they play Palace away, right? You'd expect them to get something out of that. Then it's Chelsea at home, it's Wolves away, Villa at home, City away, West Ham at home, Newcastle at home. Like, that's a tricky run of games.
Yeah.
So I think that will determine where Spurs are, because I hear Dunner saying the top 4 is the top 4. I think Postecoglou will have them sort of giving them that little bit of a confidence thing that they can go for it. But if they drop too many points in that and they slip away from that top 4 reckoning, let's say United happen to put on a run of results and get in there, then I think Spurs are fucked. I don't think they'd get back in, because I think they're riding the crest of a wave at the moment. Yeah, I think when it sort of crashes, I mean, if they lost Maddison or Son, I think they're fucked. Now, I know you could say that about most teams, but they're very reliant on them too.
Yeah.
All their attacking players coming through them too.
Yeah, but we seen the same last year with Arsenal, because I felt Arsenal were literally, and it proven. I think if you, I'd hazard a guess that 14 of Arsenal players probably figured in 95% of their league games last season. So that's, it's those 14 just figured all the fucking time. And I think that's what caught them. I think they just couldn't refresh things enough. And I think teams started to cop on to them going, they just do the same thing. They're not switching it up. And in fairness, City are boring as fuck to watch, but they can switch it. The sort of way. But look, we'll move on because we've only 20 minutes left. So I want to get into this FFP stuff regarding Everton. Now, according to The Athletic, and I've seen someone else say, I can tell you who said it now, because we have all this deadly stuff where you can search stuff. But
what a phone.
No, it's all I can search all the messages that was typed in.
Right.
So here now, you prick.
I have a phone as
right?
well.
I have a deadly phone, right? Yeah. As of the 19th of the 10th, the Athletic Everton's disciplinary hearing is into an alleged breach of the Premier League profit and sustainability rules is underway. So that would tell you that's going on since last Friday. Kicked off last Thursday, Friday. But look, there's stories coming out, and Davo, I'll come back to you again. The story's coming out, or rumour coming out, that the Premier League, and this is underway, that the Premier League are demanding a 12-point deduction for Everton for these issues, but it will be decided by a independent commission or whatever they call themselves. Now, for anybody that doesn't understand what's going on with Everton here, right? Everton at one stage had, I think it was something like wages to earnings ratio, which should be 70%, right? Up around something like 85, 86.
It was 95 2 years ago.
Yeah, but they brought it down. They brought it down in the meantime. Yeah, it's way over anyway, right? And what happened was, the Premier League actually went to them and said, "Listen, we know what you're at. Okay, now everything kind of threw them a curveball by going, no, hold on, the losses over COVID, the stadium expenses, blah 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 blah." And the Premier League went, "Okay, not that they have us here, but they kind of have us at arm's length a little bit, but we still have something on them." So it actually turned out that and Everton said it themselves publicly, they were working with the Premier League on the whole financial issue, right? To sort things out, blah 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 blah. So it was fairly open that the Premier League had gone to them, said to them, "This is out of order." They were claiming to have lost double the amount of money of anybody else in the Premier League over COVID and stuff like that, which is ridiculous, right? So that went on. And then something happened, and it's the something happened that people aren't quite clear on, because it looked like everyone going to walk through this, reduce costs, blah, 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 get this down, and, if they can manage to write off the COVID stuff and the stadium stuff, they'll be absolutely fine, right? But something happened, because the Premier League very quickly turned around and just charged them. So they went from walking alongside them to just charging them. Now, people, and before we get into the whole, what about City and the 115 charges? It's a completely different thing. City's is over 7 years, and City aren't very forthcoming with the information. What you have to understand is that Everton were, right? Everton were, and it was there to be seen in black and white. City's aren't, right? So people asking about why is City. City's going to be an awful lot more. There's more to it, and you have to dig more and literally bang on City's door to get the information off them. So it's a completely different situation, but it might set up something for City going forward. So 12 points demanded by the Premier League. We don't know what's going to happen, but Davo, can you see them getting 12 points? Because I can't.
No, I'd say, listen, they could end up with some sort of points deduction. We were talking off air, going, even if they did get hit with 12, I think they'd probably stay up with what's down there in the bottom three. But I think, Gav, probably they just went with Everton, kind of went fair cop, sleeves up. We acted the bollocks. We haven't got a washer, and we want to try and work through it. What can we do? I think, as regarding the City thing, I think basically City will tie the Premier League up in knots with legal stuff and lawyers. They have Johnny Cochran, and Everton are on the free legal aid. You know what I mean? That's where, Lionel Hutz, yeah. That's exactly. I think that's what it is. Everton haven't got, like, they probably literally don't have the finances there to get a big fucking legal team in place that can fucking tie the Premier League, and that's the way City can. And I'd say Everton just thought to themselves, right, we'll be upfront with this. And like you said, they're walking through. At one point, that statement came out, we're working with the Premier League, we're going to try and walk through it. I have no idea what happened, as in the fucking bang, is are charged, and we want the 12-point penalty. I'd imagine, I've seen some stuff on Twitter from some Everton fans, some other fans as well, and in fairness, I don't think it's a bad take on it. It's probably the fact that Everton are just big. They're big enough to make an example of, but they're not too big to make an example of. And I'd say the Premier League are probably trying to show their teeth a little bit. And maybe it's a case, like you said, you put this in my head earlier on, Gav. Is it a case that they want to have some sort of precedent in place for what does come down the line with Man City, to say, look, there you go, we took 5 points, 6 points off Everton for X amount of charges. You have X amount of charges, we're going to take that off you and a fine. Do you know what I mean? So it's all kind of up in the air with that as well.
Yeah, but you see, the thing is, you're saying set a precedent for them. I think the precedent can go both ways. And what I mean by that is, Kev says the fact the Premier League panel are leaking this to journal should worry them. This independent panel isn't going to go against the league. 12 points is what I would have expected, but they'll stay, and he says they'll still stay up, in his opinion. But you see, the precedent can be set in both ways. So one, the precedent could be, we're demanding this, right? We're demanding this. The Premier League are demanding this because they feel. I think the Premier League feel very hurt by them because I think they tried to go in and kind of give them as much rope as they could, and then Everton went and bleeding hung themselves, and now they're kind of annoyed by it. Do you know that sort of way? But the precedent could be set that they're going, we're demanding 12 points, Everton get 12, right? And then and you look towards City and you go, well, look, there's 115 charges. And you hear City fans go, well, they're not actually 115 separate charges. Well, they are, right? Because there's listed as 115 charges, right? It's just your list, it's the same charges year on year on year. So any Man City fan telling you it's not 115 charges is talking absolute bullshit, drivel, right? Don't be minding them, right? But I think that it could go the other way. And what I mean by that is the Premier League demand 12 points and the Independent Commission give them 3. Right? Which means then, if the City thing goes and City end up going, well, they're not being taken, none of their trophies are being taken off them, but they're getting a 50 million quid fine. Right? The Premier League could go, well, we want them more than that, but look, it's an independent commission. I think the Premier League are covering themselves a little bit here as well. But the truth will be there when it comes to the end of it.
I think the case, Gav, for Everton just being so forthcoming with everything and knowing that it could be just a small points deduction that they get instead of also a massive financial fine. Because I don't think Everton could take the risk of getting a points deduction plus a massive financial fine. Because if they go down, they're in serious bother. Whereas they look at a small points deduction, they're probably looking at the league as a whole right now and thinking, as we've already said, small points deduction, yeah, we could probably still stay up and everything's fine in the garden next season financially.
They could, but having said that, if you look at it, right, if you look at it, a points deduction is probably the best outcome from them, right? With the state of the league that's in at the moment. If you give them a fine, like there's rumour going around Everton are taking loans out to run this club on a day-to-day basis at this stage, right? And do you know they're taking the loans out of 777 who are looking to come in and take over the team, but that looks to have stalled. I'll be talking to Dave Downey from the Blue Room soon about it. The worst thing that can happen to them, I think, is actually a transfer ban. Because what could happen is, even if they stay up, and say they get a 2-year transfer ban, right, or a 1-year transfer ban, which means they can't sign anyone in January or next summer. What you're going to have is, they might survive, but then you're definitely going to have the likes of Pickford, Onana, Calvert-Lewin, possibly running out of contract, right, or close to it and going, I'm not staying here. Because there's going to be loads of them leaving. We're going to have to play a load of young fellas, and it's not doing anything for my career. And they can all tell you they love Everton, and they love this and they love that, but they're not going to stay there for that, Dunner. And I think the biggest thing could be an actual transfer ban, right? But it'll depend what the charges are about. If it's financial, why are they fining them? They don't have the money. You know what I mean? Yeah. If it was messing about with transfers, give them a ban. Right, it kind of has to. I'm sure that the sentence has to cover the crime a little bit. Do you know what I mean? But Keith, 12 points. People still think they might stay up. They'd end up on it -5 with 30 games to go.
Fucked. Gone.
I think they could stay up on that.
No,
I genuinely could. If you look at the ones around them, I think they could. But do you know where people are coming from, Keith? Because the City stuff is a lot more deep and is a lot more. I get Davo's point, he can tie them up in knots and legal wrangling, but at the end of the day, the Premier League are charging them with stuff where it's basically show us the numbers then. And you have to remember, City were ones that coming out had Guardiola front and centre going, we'll have this meeting tomorrow. Well, go on then. Have the meeting tomorrow. But they're not.
Wait.
Yeah. So, are the Premier League making a rod for their own back here? And are Everton just unfortunate that they're the club they're going to do it to?
Yeah, I think everything that's been touched on there, I think it's a great point about Everton being a big enough club that you can absolutely, it's like an old dog that you had for years and he was a good old dog, but he's on the way out and you can kick him and he's not going to do it. And Everton, the old lady, they're in trouble. They're in trouble. I think if they get a points deduction, they're gone. I think there's no way they'd get safe with a 12-point deduction. Not a fucking chance. Everton, when you look at the players, they have a squad there that you think shouldn't be in this, but they have that every fucking year. Do you know what I mean? They've had better squads every year. And the toxicity around that club every season, they stay up every year by getting one fucking win in April or something. Every year, they get one win. and that's enough to just keep their bleeding head above the water. I think if they got a 12-point deduction, right, it could go the other way and they could galvanise them, and they're all red cards all over the place. But I don't think it would. I think that the negativity would soon absolutely steep back in there. I think they'd be fucked. I think if they get a points deduction, they're gone. I think if they get out of the league, they're fucked. If they get a transfer ban, they're fucked. I think if they get a fine, they're fucked. I don't see, unless
So they're
they
not in
get a
good
little
shape.
slap on the
Is that
wrist.
what you're
They're
saying?
not in good shape. Yeah, they're not in good shape. I don't, unless they just get a slap on the wrist, and I can't see why the Premier League will bring it this far not to give them something severe. That's the thing. I think they're looking at something bad here. Man City, again, the Premier League didn't have to go after Man City. Do you know what I mean? I see John's point, the fake tough guy act. Man City got away with it with the European stuff and the cast rolling and
Der
all that
Spiegel
stuff
and all,
and the time locked stuff. And the Premier League then decided to go after them and came out with this 115 charges. If they don't look to hammer them, they look like fucking idiots. Like, they can sit and say, "Oh, look, we done our best. We done our best, but we got tied up in all the legal." We knew that had happened. We could have told them that had happened before they came with their 115 charges. So they have to have a basis of doing something. Now, what that'll be, I don't know. I think whatever happens, Everton will suffer because of it, and Man City won't. I think it'll be a stupid 20 million fine for Man City, and they'll laugh at that. They'll have a bleeding party. Like, lovely, 20 million fine, not a bother, easy peasy, let's go. Whereas Everton, no matter what happens, Everton, I think they're fucked.
Yeah, I think if they were to be fined, I think they're in trouble. I think if they get a points deduction, it's probably the best for them, because it mightn't be the 12, but I think a transfer ban absolutely screws them. Dunner, this hearing is meant to be underway. You could possibly get, I don't know, if it's underway since the 19th to the 10th, which it looks like the Athletic are saying. I think the 19th was last Thursday, so you're possibly looking like this could have been finished up today at some stage, because they reckon it does take 4 or 5 days to have these hearings. So you may hear, and I'm not saying you will, but you could possibly have the ruling on Everton, which I don't think they have the right to kind of protest against. I think it's an independent commission, and what the decision that's given is given. It's not like they can bring it to the Court of Arbitration of Sport, and it's not how it works. But we could literally be sitting here going in on Thursday/Friday, and we know where Everton sit.
Gav, shoot me down now straight away, but is there a chance that the points deduction could be suspended till next year? Didn't that happen to Derby last year or something?
Yes, well, Miguel Delaney has reported, I can't remember who he writes for, might be the Independent. But he had written last week that word coming out was that they could get a fine or a points deduction that will be suspended, right? Which I think is ludicrous, because if it came to the end, and this isn't because it's Everton, I think if you look at it morally behind the Dunner, they have committed whatever they've committed, and you have to punish for them. A suspended points deduction is not a punishment. It simply isn't. The sort of way. And it only means that Everton can turn around and go, well, we can't breach that again. Sure, they're not in a position to breach it again. The financial state they're in, they're not in a position to breach it anymore. So I think it's a bit mad. I think there should be a definite, if they're going to be punished, they could come out where they're not punished at all. But if you're going to punish somebody, it has to be a meaningful punishment. It'd be like turning around to City and going, right, listen, 70-point reduction, but we'll suspend it. Sure, till when? Do you know what I mean? Because you have to remember, the charges on City are between 2011, I think, and 19, right? And since then, they've used what they've done, allegedly, of between 11 and 18, to actually put themselves on a really healthy, financial, stable footing with regards to accounts since then. That's what they've done, right? They've done all this for 7-8 years. And when you actually look at City's money in and out now, it's absolutely fine. But the reason it's fine is because they've drummed all this stuff up over 7-8 years to get a result, to get results then, but to put themselves in a spot over the last 4 or 5 years where people go, well, City fucking sold 100 million more, now he spent 60. And any club doing that are going to be absolutely fine on it.
Even the way they structured the Haaland deal,
yeah,
that's clear as day. They've been covering up with that one even. So, they've done it right now, but what will be their punishment?
I don't know. It'll all depend. If any or all of those 115 charges stick. You know what I mean? Ashley says the points deduction should be applied last season anyways. There are 3 teams that went down that would argue that Everton should have been down before them. Now, Dunner, there's been rumours as well that Burnley... Was it Burnley?
No. Last
Leeds.
season.
I think that they wrote to the Premier League saying
No.
that they will...
That was last year. No, the team... What teams went down last year?
Leeds, Leicester and
Southampton. Yeah, I think it might be them. There's three or four clubs anyway that rumour has it have actually approached 777 and says, by the way, if Everton don't get punished over what's going on, we're suing Everton for 300 million quid. Because so basically, if they get punished, we're going to sue them as well. So that could be a problem on what's going on with the taking over. But Dunner, I'll let you have the fun. What?
That creates some shit show because...
it does. It does, because then it comes a civil case and your football club could owe someone 300 million. And where do you get 300 million from? Well, you have to sell assets. And what assets are yours? What assets are yours? The ground and the players. That's all you have. And then you have...
The ground is a swimming pool.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's another water
multi-purpose.
But the thing is, but it's not that. You probably have to sell the ground you're sitting on at the minute. You know what I mean? So it's Dunner. I'll let you have the last word now. What do you think happens Everton? And whatever you think happens Everton, what's the long term effect on this?
That's what happens.
Jesus. I'd say, look, the points deduction will probably be appealed. It'll probably go down to about a 5-point deduction.
Yeah,
if it does come through. And even at that, I'd still think that'll be enough. They'd stay in the league with that.
Yeah.
Be all right. The big one for me, Gav, is if they're hit with a point deduction and a fine, I think that's where the serious matter.
Yeah, I'm still gonna watch out for the transfer ban because I think it absolutely cripples them. Right, we're gonna get out of here in the next couple of minutes. What else do we want to talk about, lads? Can you remember, Keith?
Liverpool against Toulouse.
Oh yeah. I just want quick things on this. So Liverpool play. Thanks, Keith. Thanks for that.
Yeah. Toulouse or not Toulouse? That's the question.
Yeah, that is the question. So Liverpool have 2 games before this show comes back next week. They have Toulouse at Anfield in the Europa League tomorrow night, and they have Forest at Anfield on Sunday at 2 p.m. So I'll go Keith, Dunner, Davo. Keith, both games, how do you see them going? What do you expect to happen?
I expect 2 wins. I'm looking forward to... Well, I suppose it depends on the availability of players, but looking forward to the Toulouse game just to see, like, Harvey Elliott has looked good in European games when he started, not so much in the Premier League, but he's been excellent in cameos, and hopefully he'll do well against Toulouse. The European players, the likes of Gravenberch and all that, but he may be establishing himself. So over the next couple of games, it'll be interesting to see what players are the Europa League players and what players are the Premier League players. It'll be, another game where you'd expect to maybe see Endo getting a run out. You'll, see Joe Gomez and maybe Jarell Quansah, so players that are decent enough and will get games to the extent that you're not looking at it and thinking, oh, bollocks, this fella. So, yeah, I expect 2 wins and looking forward to watching them. I expect Salah to play in both of them because that fucker never misses games, but... other than that, I expect a little change. Maybe Darwin might get a start as well. I don't know what's going on there, but Darwin to get a start against Toulouse and absolutely bum ride them.
Okay. Give me 2 predictions then.
2 wins. What do you want, scores?
Yeah.
All right. 4-0, 4-0.
Oh, nice.
Easy peasy.
Okay. Morse code. Dunner.
Yeah.
Are you going 4-0, 4-0, or are you
not much of a... civilized? 2-0 wins. 2 comfortable
2-0 wins.
Yeah. Scotchy 2-0ers.
Davo?
Don't even ask him. We know what he's going to say.
Davo's going to say we lose 1-0 at home to Toulouse and we'll draw 1-0 with Forest.
No, 2-2.
Desmond.
And then he just tweet saying what a soft baby show. Yeah.
Soft baby show. No, I'd expect I go 3-1, 3-1. I think we might concede. Okay. Listen, look, we mentioned the little group of games in the league. Anyway, important. I think tomorrow night is important because they're on 4 points behind us. If you get the win tomorrow, we go to 9, leaves them on 4. You basically have the group topped, and with the run of games, I think it's an important game to win. Get a win tomorrow night, and that's the group topped basically, because the others will take points off one another, and then obviously you would expect Liverpool to pick up another couple of points or another couple of wins in that group, and I think he'd probably go strong enough tomorrow to try and get that job done, to be honest with you, Gaff, and put the group to bed, and it'll be one less headache for him.
He looks like he's in to win it though, Davo, doesn't he? Klopp.
Oh, big time, yeah, absolutely. And look, you want to top your group so you're not involved with any shy hawkery about the tour teams that come in from the Champions League.
Not only that, I think if you come second in your group, don't you have to play an extra round or something?
Yeah, you played it. If you come second, you're in the pot with the teams that come toward in the Champions
League. And then
League.
It goes to the last 32 or something.
And then it goes to the last 60.
Yeah, it's all bleeding mad.
Last 100.
I just think he's using it very well to keep a rhythm going. So what I mean by that is, instead of a player playing, say, Saturday against Everton and not playing for another 8 days when you play Forest, he's winning the game against Everton. He's going in and going, right, him, and him, 45 minutes each. That'll be them grand. They won't have to do much Friday. They'll play on Sunday. Grand. We're keeping the rhythm. There's obviously some players there that just love that bit of a game in midweek, and it just keeps them ticking over. Salah's one. I think Szoboszlai might be one as well. He looks like he's one, and even one of the centre halves. And I think he's basically hasn't taken a squad and split it down the middle and went, all he was playing the Europa and all he was over here playing the league. There's a big mix going on, but he seems to be cherry picking every week as to, you're going in now for 45 in this game. Use 3.
But the quicker you win the group, you're able to.
Yeah, but then you're able to
put the kids in and say, look,
like me and you are playing centre midfield.
Yeah, exactly. Barry Grant from Brookside in behind us.
Hold the last Jimmy Corkill holding mid.
Yeah.
So it's
all good.
Put that in the sticks.
Oh Jesus, Ron Dixon, right back. We're just naming Brookside characters now. But look, I'm going 2-1 tomorrow night and 3-1 Sunday. That's where I'm going to go.
The thing about Sunday, before you give your point there, we didn't really say much about Forest in the thing. They do have a little bit of firepower. Your man Owen, do you think he'd be a threat? He's injured, is he? I don't watch any of them, so I don't.
But I think they have more going. They've more going forward than they have. They're more of a. If you look at their strengths, it's probably going forward as opposed to defending for me. And if they come to Anfield, we need to go and just play like we do at Anfield. Pen them in, make them play percentage balls out, win them, play again. I think we just have a lovely mix at the minute of players that want to get beyond the forwards, pull wide, make angles. I think we're in a nice little spot going forward. So 2-1 tomorrow night, 3-1 Sunday.
The only issue I'd have there for the Forest game is Gibbs White on Tsimikas. I think he could cause him serious problems.
Yeah, we just have to kick him up in the air.
Yeah, I think he's their best player, Gibbs White. I think he's their best player now.
Yeah,
so I think Tsimikas should play tomorrow night, an hour, 70 minutes. The more games he gets,
I think it's a rhythm thing for him.
Just to keep him in there, just keep him in, getting games. Obviously, there will be games where he won't. I think Klopp has already said it. Listen, he's not going to play every game till Robertson comes back. So we probably will see Gomez there, a couple of the young lads, as we said, if we get that group put to bed early. But yeah, I would get Tsimikas minutes tomorrow night, definitely, just to get the confidence, build the match fitness.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the fact that again, Tsimikas, I think, needs games. He needs games, and I think you're right. 70 minutes tomorrow. If that Chambers lad is fit, throw him over the last 20, or do something. Put Gomez out there for 20. It doesn't really matter. But Tsimikas feels to me like, not the Derby, not now, but I think from Forest maybe onwards you'll see him in a rhythm and an understanding, because it's hard for any player to come in when he doesn't play at all and into a team with players around him that are getting used to each other as well, the sort of way. So but I think we should be
in such an influential role, the left back, like
it is. It's an influential role for what we do. 100%. But look, we're all positive on tomorrow night. We're all positive on Sunday. We've had a lovely chat about Everton and the FFP, the bottom 6, the top 6. We've done loads. We've done great work here tonight. Actually, we've done great work here tonight. So I've been Gav. That's been Keith, Davo, Dunner. Keith, anything else before we go?
No, nothing else, Gav. Nothing else. Nothing exciting.
Okay.
I wasn't
Good.
expecting a question. You sent me an agenda and it didn't have AOB on it. Didn't have any other business, so I
All right.
didn't prepare anything.
Okay, just completely switched off after the last sentence of it.
Yeah, I did. I gave
fair
up.
enough. Jesus Christ, it's like bleeding. I'll write it in crayon for you next time.
In future, if you want more, you have to add it in there. You
All
know
right,
what I mean?
yeah. Okay. Dunner, anything else before we go?
Anything, Gav.
No, he didn't read it right. He just stopped reading after it as well.
How
Davo.
was Sligo doing, Sean?
Oh, don't talk to him about Sligo.
Leave me alone.
No,
Will you?
Doesn't
right,
want to
sorry,
talk.
sorry,
Doesn't want to talk.
No, take it back.
Talk to him next
Take it
week.
back.
If they beat Cork, if they beat
Talk to them when they get safe.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we're
So,
down there, are we? We're bleeding.
Yeah. It's not good for him. It's not good for him. Davo, anything else before we go?
No, all good, Gav. All good.
What time are you up at? Half an hour?
Yeah, about 40 minutes.
40 minutes. Quick snooze. No problem to you. Right, that has been Talkin Kop for a Wednesday. We did cover Toulouse. It was done on our Twitch channel. You'll get that if you want to go onto the Twitch channel and watch that. It will be available for download in the morning. So will this. And the lads will be back after Toulouse tomorrow to do post-match reaction. That's it. Talk to you in a bit. Over and out.